I'm going to be talking to Evan Kraemer, who's the Chief Technology Officer for Stardust Solar Technologies. They have offices across Canada, and he's going to be speaking to me from Regina, but we're going to be talking about Ontario and a very interesting trend there in residential battery storage installation. So welcome to the interview, Evan.
Thanks, Markham. Happy to be here.
Now, I've argued in a couple of interviews and in an essay that Ontario has basically a broken electricity system. It's in a lot more trouble than people realize, but homeowners must be getting the message because you're seeing a big demand for home battery storage installations, correct?
That's right. Yeah, far greater than the other regions that we're operating in.
And is it a result, like people are worried about price? Are they worried about reliability? What are they worried about?
A large portion is going to be the price. So there, as I'm sure you know, there's the time of use pricing in some locations, depending on what sub-utility they're working with. And the fluctuations can be quite significant. So basically trying to keep that to a minimum through using their battery backup system. And then there is a portion of the uncertainty as well. I think people are seeing what happens with a privatized grid like in Texas and maybe trying to prevent their pipes from freezing come winter.
Yeah, I suppose does that enter into the conversations with customers, that they see what's, the February blizzard in Texas and last year, the August power outages in California because of extreme heat. They see those kinds of climate related issues and a battery is a bit of security for them.
Some do, not all are going to bring that up, but definitely some of them have been looking at that and saying, I want to have that little bit of security here for myself.
Now, you had mentioned that they're often paired with solar, but in fact, solar is kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, and that's not all of them again, but I've had more than a few now come and say, well, I really just want a battery system, but if I'm doing that, they need to make a lot of the same applications anyways. Might as well add some solar as well, right? It's going to be a big investment. I'm going to do both of them. Why not? Yeah.
Are we seeing a geographical differences in why people are choosing battery and solar? Like, for instance, down in the Southwest, where I understand that there's fairly decent solar resource, and maybe some of the other areas, or is it rural versus urban? What can you tell us about that?
It does seem to be a little bit more rural that is going with the batteries. So perhaps that's a little bit it's more common to have instability in those areas. But generally, I mean, it's about a third of the requests we get in Ontario right now are asking for battery systems as well. So it's pretty widespread.
Gotcha. Now you've been doing this for a while. Are you noticing that rooftop solar is really catching on? I mean, is that part of the trend that we see in other North American jurisdictions?
Absolutely. The uptick, especially after the recent announcement from the federal government, it's been quite the uptick for sure. It's just getting to that point, right, with the cost of solar being driven down and our energy costs are typically rising, that we're just hitting that inflection point.
Right. So is it now, is rooftop solar in Ontario competitive? And maybe in other areas, well, since your company is in other areas, is it competitive with the prices they're getting from utilities?
Absolutely. The price range is somewhere between the $2 to $3 mark for getting your rooftop solar fully installed. That's dollars per watt, excuse me. Which is basically, once it's installed, it's going to pay itself within the 10 years. So that's a pretty good return. And at that point, we would expect it to be, even getting installs done in the future, it's going to be on par or less than what you would be paying for your electrical bills. So even if you financed your system or something like that, you would be you'd be cash flow positive the moment that you install and turn it on.
So the industry, your industry, I assume, is expecting the costs will continue to fall?
Actually, no. So partly perhaps due to COVID, but as well, the crypto industry, I guess you can call it, is kind of competing with the same resources. So the semiconductors, just the production of our semiconductors can't really keep up. So we're hitting that sort of supply limit now. And as is wont to happen, once you have a limited supply, the price is going to stop decreasing. That being said, hopefully we'll have some sort of shift in our materials coming, or at least a partial shift, so that we can separate ourselves again and drive the price down farther. But at the moment, it seems to have plateaued, and in some cases, slight increase on price right now.
Great.
Due to
Evan, thank you very much for these insights. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Markham.